elements, layers, and that was kind of a big part of the whole process. So I'm going to go over here. Okay. So this started when I was in college, I think my junior year, and it was originally wood. And I used some kind of, it was so long ago, I don't remember. I used some kind of electric thing to carve it. And then I had it with me for a lot of years over time, going from different places. And I just never wanted to really give up on it, even though it wasn't really done. So recently, about a year or so ago, I started putting things on top of the wood to make it stay together because the wood had started to fall apart, unfortunately. So I used plastic wood, which actually worked really well. And I just kind of remade the shape of it. The paint that I used is made from red rocks. It's called Return to Red Rock Country, and Red Rock Country is the nickname, I believe, for Arizona. So before I went there, I'm not sure how long ago it was, but I decided I'm going to go and I'm going to get some red rocks and I'm going to try to grind them up and make paint. So I did that and I took a bunch of them home. Here is
It's your fault.
the raw materials here.
I need to speak though.
I'll get it. Wait.
Thank you.
Hang on.
And so there they are. And this is the mortar and pestle that I use to grind them up, small enough to make somewhat like powder, and then mixed it with acrylic medium and then put it on there. And so it looks kind of like sand, but it's actually little
Thank you very much.
granules of rock. And that's about it. It is rough. Yeah, it feels kind of like iron or something. I don't know.
I didn't want to touch it.
You can touch it. It's paint, but I think it's something that I sprayed it with kind of makes it look a little bit like concrete. I had carved it out of wood first, and then after that, I covered that with plastic wood, and then I just kind of shaped it with my hands.
I just want to remind the Zoom audience that if they have any questions, put it in the chat box. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Anybody here have any questions? No?
Not right now.
Not right now?
Shows headspace.
Yes.
And that feels like a brain to me. Is that what your intention was?
No, actually it wasn't. This was something that it was in college, and it was kind of one of those weird things where you see something and you think, oh, that looks interesting, and maybe I could make that into a piece of art. So it was actually a t-shirt that was on the floor, and it was kind of like inside out, and I just thought it looked really cool. So tried to make it look like that.
Can you talk about the title, Headspace?
Okay. Well, I think a lot of these are kind of about the desert and kind of that feeling of having a horizon way out there that you can't see. And it kind of like, I find it peaceful to be out in that environment. And I think a lot of people do. And yeah,
a headspace.
That's a headspace. Okay. Yes. So it gives you space for your head. Yep. Let's see. Hmm. Well, this one, there's the sand. And this one I mixed sand with acrylic medium to kind of make a desert kind of a landscape. Um, and when I was making the paint, I was using I was using a shaker that had had some cinnamon in it, and I put the sand in the cinnamon and kind of shook it around, and I kind of just liked the color that it made, and it smelled good. So there's a little bit of cinnamon on there. And it's called Spice, which is kind of a reference to Dune a little bit, you know, the spice. So yeah, there's that one. Okay, so these two took a lot of different, lot of layers, a lot of experiments. Was actually a project that I had done with my mom many years ago, which was we had a balloon and we had string, and it was soaked in glue, and we wrapped it around. I don't know if you remember that. Wrap it around, and then you let it dry, and then you pop the balloon, and then you have a sphere that's open inside. So I thought I would try to do something with that again in some way. So those shapes are kind of made with initially balloons that I popped, and uh, they're just kind of undulating shapes. They don't really particularly mean anything. It's just kind of like landscapes. Um, and again, I used the sand to make them look like deserts, little miniature deserts. Um, yeah, let's see.
What was the inspiration for that?
For that, for which part
For
of it?
those two pieces, they go together.
I think it was more of the same, just making like a landscape that was smooth, and you could kind of a little bit imagine yourself very tiny and being inside it. Um, yeah, I just wanted to make kind of like something that looked like it was moving a little bit, kind of like billowing in the wind, but made of sand. So it's kind of like a weird, you know, not something that would really possibly happen in real life. Uh,
I noticed also that you can flip it 180 and it still works as a sculpture.
You can. And actually, when I had first done them, I was going to have them that way. I was going to have them the other side up, but then I turned them upside down, and I thought, well, I like how it looks better this way. Any other questions?
Did you talk about why the mortar and pestle were here?
Because yes. So I used that to make some of the pigment from the rocks from Sedona, the red rocks. And it's sedimentary rock, so you are able to crush it if you use a lot of elbow grease, and I had to crush it quite a bit and make a lot of noise, and I had to sift it and get it so that it was fine enough to mix with acrylic medium.
It's interesting how your basins in here are collecting sand, piles of sand. It's like it's
They are.
trapped them in there.
Yes, well, that was not entirely intentional, but I think it looks okay. So the mortar and pestle I also used for this one. It's called Sunset Crater. Um, this is a place near Flagstaff. It doesn't really look like that, but it's sort of looks like somewhat of a volcano. So when we were driving past, the landscape was covered with this volcanic stuff, like I don't know what you'd call it, but it was black and it was kind of all over everything. And it just looked really strange because there was green and then it kind of in the crevices, it would be black and it kind of looked like velvety. But then I went up to actually touch it and it was not velvety. It was like gravel. So I took some of that home and ground that up and used that. Okay. This one, this is another thing that I started many, many years ago and kind of neglected and then got back to. It's made of plaster and it's carved and it's vaguely looks like a brain. The red part is kind of more looks like a brain. The green part kind of looks like a um, kind of like leaves or something to that effect. Um, so it's kind of just the two sides of different uh, life forms, I guess, the animal side and the plant side.
And does that have a title?
This one, I have to say that the title that I came up with is probably doesn't really make any sense, but I made it up and it's called Biophyte Brain.
Okay.
Okay, because just very tiny little bit of knowledge that fight, Fhyte, means something with plants, like uh, something to that effect. So yeah, that's that one.
So it's like a brain plant. company.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yep. Uh, so this one, people had a lot of comments about this one, and this is yet another one that I started a while ago and kind of took me a while to get it to come together. This is when I kind of started to want to do sculpture because I had been doing painting for a while and I kind of acknowledged to myself that I don't really like painting that much and I really want to do some sculpture. So that's when I started making these things that I attached to it. And it's kind of organic shapes. The background is somewhat plant cells, a little nucleus in there. It's just kind of a design that I came up with. I couldn't really make it's up for interpretation, I suppose. Yes,
three-dimensionality to it?
yeah, it
Okay.
does.
I haven't been that close to see it.
Yeah, these two,
Okay.
that's when I started to, because I had the background and I really felt like I wanted to do sculpture again, because that was kind of what I like more. So then I started to make these things, feathers, and this is kind of like a seed pod, and those stick out, and then this little thing sticks out. So that was kind of my start to getting back into sculpture, and then that one, well, that was kind of an in-between, and then it kind of went that way.
And
yes.
a lot of your work, I feel there's a lot of science, anatomy,
Mhm.
and brain and the female, that to me looks like, female organ.
Mhm.
Is that intentional or is that something that, where does that come from?
I guess it's intentional. I mean, it's just something I find interesting, I guess, kind of fascinating, the workings of everything and all the designs that are naturally there. Um, and, we all have bodies, and I think, you know, using that kind of stuff, you can kind of relate to it. And also, I just found it interesting to look at things really close up because, plant cells, you're not really going to see those in real life unless you're looking at it under a microscope. And there's just a lot of really interesting things if you look under a microscope. But I'm not science oriented. I mean, I guess I like the designs of science, I guess.
Can you talk about the title of that one?
The title is 1-to-1. It's kind of like a ratio. It's a math term. And I was kind of trying to, so you can kind of probably tell that there's some sexual things going on, maybe. I don't know. Well, I think of it as some kind of like meeting or contact. And 1-to-1 was kind of reference to things, equal things, meeting.
Where do you see yourself going next?
I would like to do bigger sculptures if I could. It would be nice if I had access to bigger things because I felt pretty limited by some of the materials I was using. I don't have a kiln, and some of the things look like I was trying to make them look like they came from a kiln. But yeah, I think some of these things I think they would look better if they were on a larger scale. Yeah, I think I'm probably done with the sand right now. It's time to move on. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do next. Probably more experiments because these were there was a lot of trial and error with these, and trying to figure out how to make things work and how to make things stay together and keep their shape. And so I would like to maybe learn some techniques somehow, go and take a class or something, and some kind of sculptural techniques. And probably be great to work with I don't know, things that are a little more permanent, maybe harder, you know. Um, I don't know. I do like working with wood though. Um, and I definitely enjoyed, other than the lots of trial and error and all that with the sculpture, I definitely enjoyed that more than the painting.
We've got one comment on the Zoom that says cool with a thumbs up.
Okay, thank you.
If there are any more comments from our Zoom folks, put them in the chat and we'll get to them as they come through. Well, thank you very much, Diana.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Brandon. Sure.
And next up is Karen Fedczuk, and her show is called Snow Cover.
Hello. Just wanted to give you a little summary about this body of work. It's related to winter. I love the winter. Everybody hates the winter, but I love it. So this is how I kind of express my feelings for the winter. And I'm a skier and I could have winter every month of the year. So this kind of brings it back home to me. Basically, these are all ink washes, pen and ink, and collage. And the collage pieces that are in these works are from my prints, from woodcuts that I've done, and etchings, and different collagraphs, and they're pieces that I just have so many papers. So I don't like to buy new paper. I'd like to use what I have. So for me, it's kind of a recycling thing. So I use all of my prints that were proofs that didn't really work, and I cut them up. And I try to use them in my work. And just basically this time I just started, I like to work with pen and ink. And I use a Japanese ink, the Sumi ink, and I dilute them, and I make a little dilution of the value of the black. So I have a little cups of different shades, and I kind of start off by brush. I use a brush, and I start light to dark. It's kind of how I go. So I just might sketch it out, and you could barely see it, and then sketch again with another value of gray, and then another value, and then kind of the landscape kind of is in from my imagination, but I do have a couple of pictures that I use as guides. And I think I might have had like the same 3 images. They're little things this big, but they're just kind of guides to maybe where the horizon line is, or where the mountains come, and where the path is. And then actually quite a few of these are from skiing. They're kind of what I've skied through. And some of the other images are from my trip to skiing, which is Greek Peak up in Marathon. So these are kind of the landscapes I saw all winter in my mind. A lot of kind of rocky trees, hills, and just kind of felt like they were like real. I don't know. They just felt like they came alive to me. So what I did was I take the collage paper, and after I do my sketching with my brush, I kind of find more of a structure in the buildings and the rocks and the trees, and I kind of map that out and bring a little bit of color into it. And then I take my ink with it's a reed pen. It's just a wooden pen. And I just kind of bring it all together with black. And kind of this is a new process for me. I've been doing collage for years and years and years, but I've never ever done it with ink. So this was was a little nervous about it, but I had a good time with it. And then I started doing some of this grounded paper too. And I've always liked working with grounded paper. Those are the grays. And those kind of are another thing with value for me. So I can see the darks to the lights and lights to the dark, and, kind of create the space that way. And the ones that are in the back area, those 2 are just pencil, and also, again, ink. Those are done with ink, an ink wash. Yes, it was with like a crayon dash pencil.
Okay.
So you can actually wet it, and it acts as a watercolor pencil. Yeah.
Do you use white pigment in any of these?
No. The only white pigment is the pencil. There's no white and no white pigment in these at all. No. There might be some collage I pick out the collage, I pick out to kind of, I know some people couldn't see the collage in it. They had to really kind of get up close. But I'll pick out the collage, like say, for example, some of the darks in here, the collage papers in here, that I just pick those to be the right value. So I have like a whole array of papers that are going to fit into the value that I'm looking for, to kind of go in with to fit in the landscape.
How do you explain that one, that Karen is focusing up close?
This one?
Yeah, it looks kind of like a, crash.
Yeah, like a rocky. It looks like a, what did you say? What, like a, oh. It- Yeah, that one felt like rocks, like a rocky path to me. So boulders and rocks and kind of haphazard kind of things thrown everywhere. Kind of like some of the yards I see when I'm driving to Marathon. It's kind of like little huts and buildings kind of all over the place and just sort of disorganized. And I love it. I mean, that's intriguing to me. It's it feels like there's more motion and movement. And the other thing that I wanted to say about this group was that the negative space, I felt like I really wanted the negative space to become the positive space in this group. So I kind of worked really hard at trying to make the negative space feel more airy and feel more spacious, even though they're flat, so there's kind of like it gives life and air and movement into the grounded pieces. So that was kind of what I was aiming for, but just kind of, comes about. Some of these are like you can see in thinking like these are wood cuts. I know Diana, you were talking about working with wood. So I did a lot of wood cuts. I love carving wood. So it has a three-dimensionality to it. So these are the carved marks from my wood and the paper and the inks that I've made to print out my wood cuts. So there, and these are black and white. These are greens that I had done. I think I had done a few colors there. So those feel more like my hand, so it feels more natural to use those as my collage pieces because I made those pieces.
Snow.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Where is it? Or
why snow? And
Okay.
what do you find so interesting and fascinating about snow?
I just love the winter, and snow to me is beautiful, and the white of it, the contrast that it makes with everything else. It just makes everything light up, and it sort of cleans everything, in a way,
Yeah.
so it makes it more clear, I guess, to me.
Yeah.
And I love to ski. I'm a skier, so I like feel the snow and just kind of breathe it in, and and so I think I just have a fondness for it.
Because you're right, a lot of people don't really enjoy winter.
No. Well, we
Um,
have an interesting contrast.
I know.
Desert.
Yeah. Yes. Kind of extreme, but I can see how snow would kind of has kind of a cleansing sort of a feeling to it.
Yeah. It sparkles,
Yeah.
it just catches your eye, and
Mhm.
it's so beautiful, I think.
And the sound is snow.
Yeah,
When it's absolutely quiet, except for listening to the snow.
right.
I find it amazing. If you can hear it, but
Everything's so quiet,
Yeah.
after a snowfall.
What's next, Karen? What are you working on?
I don't know. I have no idea. Probably something with color. I kind of go from different, I go from color to black and white to, I really don't know. Maybe sculpture, who knows? Anybody have any other
No, I
questions?
think your previous work, some has been very colorful.
Yes,
And I was going to say, well, this is really restrained.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true, right? That's right. Yeah, I do use a lot of color, but I feel this is simplifies things so much and it just makes everything more clear to me, the black, white, and gray.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The white is a color and the black is a color. so-
Yeah. Well, one of my professors had said that there's more color in black and white than there is in color. So think about that. Mhm.
More so than if it was all color. You know,
Mhm.
you have the black and white and then these little patches that really stand out.
Yeah. True.
Karen, in terms of length of time, how long would it take you to do a piece like this?
Oh, that's a good question. It varies. Like I would say if I'm on a roll, I could do 3 in a night.
Wow.
Yeah. But I could also spend a month ripping things up that are not working.
Right. Right.
So it just depends on like I have to get warmed up, or something. My eye has to get used to things. I don't know. And then the drawing is in there, right? So the drawing has to feel, like sometimes you just can't draw, you just, wow, this is not working, or I tend to overwork things. So I end up and I can't take away ink, so that's where it gets frustrating. It can get very frustrating. But,
Yeah, so how many failures did you have in
oh my
doing
God,
this show?
that's a good one too. Let's see. How many failures? I'd say about 10 images. Yeah. Couple that I really liked that I was like really upset about. Like, dang it.
I bet if you brought them in and hung them on the wall, no one would notice.
I don't know about that.
Do you ever have, is it ever challenging to tear apart your old work? Things that you've created before?
No.
Not at all.
No, it isn't. It just, I have stacks of proofs from printmaking. That's one of the things. As a printmaker, you end up with so many piles of papers that just do not work. And for me, and so even some things that I had liked, I'm like, I look at them a few years later, nope, I can use that for something else and make it better, so I kind of think of it that way. So I don't try to get too attached to it, you know. But that is a good question though.
Yes. Anybody have any more questions?
Any last comments?
I think it's remarkable how tree-like those trees look, but it sounds like you're not really looking at trees when you're doing it.
No, it's like more of where I think they might be in the composition. Because I think a lot about composition and balance. So, I might just say, well, yeah, I'm not really looking at, you're right. I'm not really looking, I don't look at detail. None of these have detail at all. They're pretty abstract and maybe more expressionist, and quite a bit of flatter imagery. I did that on purpose. So I kind of just felt more real to me, more alive as being abstracted than it did if you made it detailed, you know?
Well, some of the abstract lines look detailed, so it's
Uh-huh.
interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah. Okay,
Great.
all right.
Well, thanks for
Thank
joining.
you.
But before we
Thank you.
sign off, I wanted to shout out to our next artist of the month in May is going to be Natalie Didamio.
Oh,
Hi, Natalie.
Hi. Oh, what are you doing?
What's the name of your show?
What is the name of my show? Beautiful Mistake.
oh, I love that name.
So join us first Friday in May for Natalie Didamio's show. Good night, everyone.
Good night. Pardon me?
I like the way these come out.
Oh, did you? Thank you.
I wouldn't motorcycles up there, but.